Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everybody and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips and I will be your host for the next hour. If you're new to Unlocking Your Truth, let me explain. This is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we're here on Tuesday evenings at 7 o'clock at CIVL talking about things under the umbrella of metaphysics and spirituality. So we always start with the topic of the week, and then we go on to open the phone lines for you to join in and ask your questions and receive a spiritual perspective on your life challenges. And of course, there's me, Dr. Lesley, and I'm also joined by Corey.
Hello, everybody. I hope nobody can hear my squeaky chair tonight.
Oh.
I'm going to change it.
Hopefully not. And while Corey is doing that, I am going to read out an email address that you can send your questions to. And I'm also going to read out the studio number because you never know, you might feel inspired to phone us up. So the email address is info@drlesleyphillips.com. And we offer that out to those of you who feel a little bit shy.
Me.
Yeah, a little bit shy about talking live on the radio. And otherwise, though, the studio number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. So once again, that's 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And I will be reading that out at intervals during this evening's show.
Aren't you special?
Yes, I see Johnny K has left his funny yellow bird hanging off the microphone here.
His duck.
His duck, yeah. It's not my duck. All right. So anyway, tonight that brings me to tonight's topic, which is not about strange yellow ducks hanging off the microphone, but instead, and I'm not too sure what to call this, folks, but on the one hand, it's like, what makes a good psychic? What makes a good clairvoyant? What is it?
Have we changed the topic?
No, we haven't. But because it was inspired by, I watched this afternoon a YouTube video by Teal Swan. Occasionally she does something that inspires me to want to watch it. And today there was one, it was called The Most Dangerous Parallel Reality. And that piqued my curiosity, so I listened to it. And so you know what makes a really good psychic is being able to acknowledge parallel perceptual realities. So let me expand on what I mean. So in her video, she was talking about how we teach our children to mistrust their perceived reality by ignoring their feelings and presenting them with a false reality that we prefer that they would operate from. So, and the example that she gave in her video was, Daddy comes home and he's completely blind drunk and he just falls down on the floor unconscious. And the children in the home witness this and they feel anxious about it and they're disturbed by it. And then codependent mummy comes along and says, "Oh, Daddy's so tired. He's just come home from work and he's having a sleep." And so there's a schism between the reality that the child just witnessed and the reality that the adult has superimposed over the true reality. And so what she was saying is it causes intense loneliness for people, this kind of thing that goes on. And actually it goes on for most of us. We don't live in our world is full of facades, actually. So there's a chasm between the child's experienced reality and what the child is told is real. And so what she was saying is we fail as a species abysmally at empathy and And when we don't truly see and hear our fellow human beings, this is the cause of the worst hell on earth, which is suffering alone. And, you know, I kind of agree with her, and I wanted to explore this a little bit on our show. And, really the problem is, and it happens when we don't validate each other's inner realities, we don't value each other's unique perspective, and we don't acknowledge how we deny realities that we don't like. So let's take those three things, starting with being able to validate each other's realities. Because maybe do you expect that someone else's reality is going to be exactly the same as your reality? Do you expect that, Corey? Do you expect my reality should be the same as yours?
Of course. No, I'm a little confused in one way, and another way I'm not. It sounds like what we're talking about is lying. Lying in a sense, because one person's not telling the truth.
It is a form of lying, but I believe it goes on a lot unconsciously for people, and I'm going to give some examples that might, in a bit, that might help clarify it. I mean, yes, it is lying. Ultimately, that is what it is, but it's not always done consciously. In the example we just talked about, it might be done to protect the child, for example.
Well, the one that came to me was, a teenage child coming home, stoned out of his tree, and joking with his mother. His mother thinks, "Oh, he is in such a wonderful state of mind. He's just so happy today, and he's such a good boy. Oh, I love my son because he's so nice, and he never do anything wrong. Yet he's sitting there stoned out of his tree." Is that what you mean?
That could be an example as well. Yeah. And both people might be lying. The teenager might be lying to his mother that he's pretending he's not stoned.
And then the dad comes home and sees him, and he realizes that he is really feeling weird, and he thinks he's drunk or something.
Yeah. And the mother might also be lying, because on an unconscious level, she might know that he's stoned out of his tree, but she doesn't want to admit it.
It's all so confusing.
But this is what we do. These are the perambulations that we twist ourselves up into. So on to my first point, about validating each other's realities and expecting them to be the same, because, and you've heard this in New Age philosophy, we're all unique individuals. That's said really often. I know I find myself saying it all the time. And it's usually used to promote self-acceptance and the acceptance of others, because we're saying, well, everyone's unique, so we should accept that they're unique. So what does it really mean? What does that really mean? And what I mean when I say it is that we're all unique sparks of divine consciousness. We're all aspects of God, but we're all different aspects of God. And what that then means is, because of that, we all have a unique perspective. No single one of us has exactly the same perspective. How can we? We're not overlapping fragments of divine consciousness. We're unique aspects of divine consciousness. Together we are one, but separately we're unique. And then another perspective to layer on top of that is, of course, then we're these divine sparks of consciousness living our lives on earth, having all these experiences. No one of us has the same experiences. And as we go through life living, having these experiences, we lay down beliefs, we have emotions, some of the emotions we store, some of the memories we store. And so, we have physical reactions to things that happen, and we create mental and psychological constructs which are completely our own, which add to our inner reality. No one has the same reality. No one has the same perceptual reality as anybody else. Yes?
I just thought of a great example. Just recently I had an eye operation where the lens in my right eye was replaced. And I found it very interesting when the doctor said, I said, well, yeah, everything's wonderful after a couple of 3-4 weeks. And he says, he said, maybe you should have the other one replaced. I said, why? The other one's fine. He says, well, cover your right eye. And your left eye is the one that hasn't been operated. And what color is the wall? I said, well, it's blue. He says, okay, now cover the other eye. And I covered the other eye, and I went, wow, it's blue. It was a whole different shade of blue. And so here I am looking at the same wall, and looking at it with two eyes, and there are different colors. And when I open both eyes, again, they're still a different color in essence. So I'm looking at the same reality and seeing two
different versions of it.
Two different versions of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we could talk a lot just about this one point, but that happens in events where there's a crowd of people and something happens, and then the police interview them afterwards. Everyone's got a unique version of what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're agreed then. We're all unique individuals,
yep,
with our own unique perceptual reality. And the mistake that we often make is expecting it to be the same. So part of I guess improving ourselves as a species is to learn about that. And the second point I was going to make about this is we're all mirrors for each other. And again, you hear that in New Age speak a lot. We're all mirrors for each other. I say it a lot too. I think I say it on the promo for this show as well, actually. And so how can we all be different and yet we all be mirrors for each other? They seem contradictory, don't they, if you use your logic. But at the same time, we are kind of like psychological and experiential mosaic. So if you take that scenario I was talking about before, where, we're fragments of experiences and memories and beliefs all tied up together in a bundle of energy. So our fragments can match and cause reflections. And that's why sometimes we are attracted to someone and we bond together with them. And it's also why we feel repelled by another person. It depends on whether we like the aspect within us that is being highlighted by the reflection from the other person.
And if you don't believe that, try staring at the mirror for 20 seconds straight. Most people spend almost no time looking in a mirror. Most people, when they look in the mirror, they don't like the reflection they're getting, period. And so we're actually looking at ourselves and we don't like ourselves.
That's a famous Louise Hay exercise, is to look in the mirror.
It's a famous Corey exercise.
Yes. I do it because I find it helps ground me into my body. If I stand and look in the mirror, it helps me relax, and the more it helps me more and more feel like it's me behind my eyes.
Yeah, so when you do that, if you can learn to love yourself regardless of your reflection in the mirror, and do that, you can actually do that with people. When you see something you don't like, recognize the fact that, hey, maybe that's my mirror, and love them anyway for it.
Exactly. And you can also use it as a healing opportunity, because if you're triggered by somebody else and you say, that's just pointing out something within me that I need to let go of. And I've had that happen several times, and what I've found is if I can let go of enough, I actually start liking the person that I thought I didn't like. So, and then anyway, on to the next point, which is how we deny another person's reality in order to avoid our own reality. And this is where I was going to give some examples. So, and I just made these up out of thin air, but let's say you were somebody that lost a child, but you didn't process your grief when it happened. And then one of your friends loses one of their parents and is grieving. You might unconsciously or even consciously avoid your friend while she's grieving, because you're still denying your own pain. And being in the presence of that friend brings that up for you. So you're denying your grief. Let's make up another example. So he's a Muslim in Iraq and she's a Christian in America. And both were abused as children and feel alone, victimized and misunderstood. Neither of them can see eye to eye while they still deny their own abuse, right? Or let's make up another example. A feminist and a chauvinist. And let's say they both had parents that wanted them to excel, And so each needs to be right to feel accepted. Their self-worth hinges on being better than somebody else. Neither wants to deal with their own pain and invalidation, so they project their hate at each other. So there's so many different ways that we do this kind of thing. Now, one of my favorite movies is Bridget Jones's Diary, or I should say I have a favorite quote from Bridget Jones's Diary. And the quote is that Colin Firth says to Renee Zellweger, I love you just as you are. I love you just as you are. Because isn't that what we all want? To be seen and accepted just as we are? And to not have to live up to someone else's ideals of what they want us to be? We don't want to be expected to be different than we are to make another person happy. And I'm sure you don't enjoy it when someone else is projecting a false projection of who they think you are. You know, we all just want to be seen clearly and loved, be loved and accepted exactly as we are. I feel that that's really what all human beings want. Corey, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, and then you have, I find this is very interesting. A man and a woman get together, and the woman and the man fall in love, and then they decide to get married. And one woman says to the other woman, she says, "Well, he's okay, but there's some things about him I don't like." She says, "Well, that's okay. He's a diamond in the rough, and I'll make sure that we'll edge off those, get all those edges sharp and lovely." And to me, that's sort of what we're talking about as well. You're talking about, yes, I love him. So in other words, he and his character have been sufficient for this lady to fall in love with him, yet she's looking beyond that and trying to, quote unquote, fix him. Mm-hmm. I think that's looking at the same reality, the person looking at the same reality with two different eyes again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. They're wanting to project their own version of reality onto this person.
Yeah.
And so, I was thinking about this, and I've kind of been thinking about this theme in various ways for a while. And, I think one of the things that makes a really good clairvoyant, a really good psychic, is to be able to offer that to the people that come to you. And really, that, I think, is the biggest gift that me and other people that operate from that premise can give another human being. Is to be able to just see them and accept them exactly as they are, to validate them and their reality. And that's what clairvoyance gives you, the ability to do that. I'm able to see people as they are and be neutral no matter what I see, because I use my clairvoyance. And it's a gift that the gift of being able to see as spirit transcends the ego, the emotions, the intellect, and all the things that dominate most human interactions. It confers the ability to see clearly, be non-judgmental, and be accepting of what is. And to use my clairvoyance, I seat my consciousness in my pineal gland. And this takes me outside the realm of my body personality and allows me to operate from my higher consciousness. And that's a technique, I think we've talked about it before on the show. It's called centering. And everyone can do it. You can learn to seat your consciousness there in the center of your head. And then if you need to use your intellect, you can move forward into your intellect when you need to be logical and analyze stuff. But when you want to connect deeply and intimately with another human being and accept them as they are, you can move your consciousness to the center of your head. And I really think that's the trick, and it's also the secret of being a really kick-ass psychic as well. So going back to Teal Swan's video, when I do a reading, I take into account each person's perceptual reality that comes to me by consciously modulating my energy vibration. So I set my energy frequency to match the person that I'm reading. If you listen to the show, you'll notice I'll say something like, well, I'm just going to tune into this person's energy. That's what I'm doing. I'm tuning in to their perceptual reality so that I can be on their wavelength, so that I can see them and validate them as they are right here, right now. It's like standing on the same floor of a high-rise building. And if I was on a lower floor, they'd be like, well, I've already gone past that point. I've been there, done that, seen that. And if I was on a higher floor, then it would go over their head. They couldn't conceive of what I was talking about. And then, the real trick to helping somebody take the next step is to just take that vibrational frequency and set it slightly ahead of the person that's coming for help. And then you can lead them towards the next step, the next floor, show them the elevator, help raise their perspective on what's happening in their life. Now, that altered state of consciousness that I use is called a trance. It helps me tune out physical reality, and it helps me tune into spiritual reality. And so to help my client, I actually or the person who calls this show, I shift my vibration slightly ahead of theirs and take a spiritual perspective on their situation. And my clairvoyance helps me see them clearly and love and accept them as they are. Now, of course, being psychic does not guarantee love and compassion. Clairvoyance is a tool, in a way, like the intellect, then it can be used for good or ill. Your intuitive gifts could also be twisted for self-interest or to use what you find out against people. But if you care about your spiritual evolvement when opening your clairvoyance and your other spiritual gifts, then you'll focus on healing yourself so that you can rise above those kinds of temptations. And I would just say that that's why it's really important to find a knowledgeable teacher that you can trust, that can help you navigate those temptations, and who can provide information about you and what you're going through. And because, here's the thing, when you develop your clairvoyance, those lies that we were talking about, those facades, those false perceptual realities that we layer on top of ourselves, they all come up for you to look at. You can't develop your clairvoyance without having to look at yourself. And so
it's a long inward journey before
totally
you can
is.
do the outward looking, before you can look at the scenery.
Yeah, it totally is. And a lot of people get enamored with, the ability to want to be rich and famous and glamorous and do this psychic stuff, but they're not prepared to do the inner work. Anyway, I think it's probably about time that I went to a break, and so we're going to do that now. But after the break, listeners, you can call us on 604-504-7441, extension 4142, and you can email info at Dr. Lesley Phillips with your questions. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. I'm Dr. Lesley Phillips, and I am your host. And now is the time in the show where you can phone us. The studio number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. I think I said that wrong. Oh, no, I didn't. 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And the email address is info@drlesleyphillips.com. And I believe we actually have a caller. And so Corey's going to pass tonight's first caller through. Hello, caller.
I was going to call about a past life of mine. I've been thinking about my career, and it's a little unsatisfying. And I thought that maybe there was some kind of clue in a past life of maybe what I should be doing or focusing my attention on.
Sure, we can take a look at that. And who am I talking to, by the way?
It's Teresa again. I called last week.
Okay.
I'm just from Japan. Okay.
Sure, Teresa. So you're feeling unsatisfied in your career, and you want to see if there's any past life information that can help you. So we'll take a look at that. And I am just going to, like I was saying earlier in the show, I'm just going to go into a really light trance. And I'll get you to keep your eyes open. And then I'm going to just tune into you and your energy vibration. And we are going to see what we can come up with in terms of some past life information. And the first thing I'm going to do is just take a quick look at you. And it's kind of interesting because I'm seeing that you're in a growth cycle that relates to self-affinity and self-validation and self-love and deserving and saying, you know, I deserve to create the life that I want for myself. So I'm seeing that you're very much looking for identifying areas where you're not feeling like that and giving yourself permission to change them. And so that's definitely coming up as the main thing that's going on with you right now. And I'm taking a look at the past life timeline, and we have a past life that's about 35% of the way down your timeline that's popping up. So let's take a look and see. Well, so this the images that I'm seeing. I think it's somebody night fishing. Fishing at night.
Oh,
because the image is the water and fairly calm water, but still little waves and ripples on the water, and the moonlight shining on the water, and it looks like it's perhaps it's a lake because the water's really clear, and there are pebbles on the bottom of the lake, and it's that kind of crystal clear water that you can really see if a fish swims by. And I'm seeing you are in a male body, and you're in a kind of a canoe, and you're patiently waiting for, and you're alert, and you're patiently waiting for, I think, for fish to swim so that you can spear them. And I keep hearing that it's somewhere in Indonesia. This lifetime, and so I'll get a bit more information, and then we'll see how is it relating to. And the first thing that comes up is actually it's so funny. It's in a way it's more like this is a spiritual communication from your higher self. But what it's saying is be patient.
Okay.
Be patient. Be aware. And when the opportunity comes, jump on it. But anyway, let me just look at this past life and see if that is the main message, or if there's something else we want to say about what he was doing. What do you do currently in your career?
I'm a primary school teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like some of the qualities in this past life that are coming up to talk about, and I can see how they would be different than being a primary school teacher, is just the calm and the peace.
That's the opposite of what I've got.
Yeah, the calm, the peace, contemplation, stillness, and then the ability to be really focused.
Okay.
And not scattered. So those are some qualities that it looks like you're wanting to bring forward. I'll see if there's another past life that's relevant. Yeah, let's just take a look. So this one's very close in your timeline, slightly more recent to that one. Okay. And let's see. Well, this is a lifetime in Africa, in a tribe in Africa. And you're in a female body. And I'm just watching you going about your everyday life. It looks fairly sort of domestic, and not domestic like we know it, but their version of being domestic. They've got sort of straw hut-looking things that they live in, and different daily activities to prepare food and crafts and things that they do. And it looks like there's some animals. But the other image I saw, it reminds me of, when people today they go hunting and they have, I don't know what it's called, but they have like a camouflage thing that they build that they sit in, and then they and they watch for the animals coming. Well, I was seeing a thing like that, like on the savannah where they could go and watch the animals, and I'm seeing that there were lions that they liked to watch, and hyenas that they like to watch, or that they are watching, or that you're watching. And let me see why. Well, again, you know what? It's the same qualities of patience and focus, and when it's time to act, jump on it. Because it's like that's what the hunting animals do. They might sit around for 23 hours a day.
Yeah.
Or they might be very patient, and then when the opportunity comes, jump on it. And that seems to be seems to be the main message.
The theme, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And
Okay.
do call again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
By the way, the what you're referring to is a blind.
A blind. Ah. A blind.
I was going to go like this, but I didn't think you'd get it.
Oh, I wasn't looking at you. I had my eyes closed, I think.
Yes.
We got one that's a short one now before the next break.
Well, that would depend on you, wouldn't it?
I suppose so. What's the next one?
Okay, this is from Nan. Nan wants to know, my question is, what can you see related to my next intimate relationship, as I have no sense nor intuition that anything further will come to me? Much appreciated your focus on this.
Okay. So this is a fairly common question that we get. And I have a few standard stock responses that I give. And one of them is that I don't predict the future for people, because you create your own reality. So if there's something that you want and you're not getting it, then the trick is to look within and say, what vibrational frequency am I putting out? Because, am I a match for what I'm asking for? So that said, then I'll take a look at that from that perspective, because I'm certainly not going to tell you you're going to meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger in 5 weeks from now, while you're jogging around the block. So I'm not going to predict your future, Nan. But let's take a look at this question of the next intimate relationship. And I would just say, I'm seeing that if you want a next intimate relationship, there actually are plenty of opportunities for you. I'm seeing lots of matches in terms of potential mates or companions, and I'm actually seeing that what's conflicting you, and this is kind of interesting, is it looks like you're looking at, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? What do I want to focus on? And it looks like you have a number of things that you're wanting to do with your life, and it looks like you're saying, well, are these other things compatible with having an intimate relationship? And if they are not, then do I want an intimate relationship? What's more important to me? So I'm seeing that at the moment you're looking at, and I don't know how old you are, but it looks like you're looking at, here I am in this life, and here are these things that I've done, and here are these things that I want to do that I haven't done yet. And so here's my bucket list. And which of these are most important to me? And so I'm seeing that that's what's going on, that there are some things besides a relationship that are important to you. And you're in the process of deciding for yourself which of them you want and which ones you want to put together with each other in your next phase of your life and your life creation. So I hope that helps you. And I'm going to go to a break and we will be back in a few short moments. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. I'm Dr. Lesley Phillips and I am your host. And this is the last segment of our show and we are still taking your calls on 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And in the absence of a phone call, we're reading your emails, which you are welcome to send to info@drlesleyphillips.com. Corey, who is next?
Okay, I have a question from Sarah. And Sarah says, I had a wonderful 18-month relationship with a friend from my youth. On July 26, 17, he said he wanted to be alone and to forget him. No news since. We are 73 years old. I am heartbroken, feel old and panicky. Will I find new love?
Okay, so she's asking, will she find new love? So she's told us a preamble, but what the question is will I find new love? So let's take a look, Sarah. Kind of the same question as the last one.
I'm sure she's wondering what happened as well.
Well, so in answer to the will I find new love, it's kind of the same answer to the last lady in one way, in that you create your own reality. So depending on whether you believe you will and you can, you will or you won't. And I'm seeing that you're not believing that it's possible for you, partly because of your age and your stage of life. And so I'm seeing that if you can manage to shift that belief about yourself, then it becomes possible for you. So that's the first thing. It's possible for you to find new love if that's what you want. And then in terms of your friend that has disappeared, let's take a look. And what I'm sensing is that he didn't want to trouble you with a problem that he's got. So it looks to me like he was wanting to save you from being bothered by something that he's going through. So not wanting to impose himself on you. So I'm seeing that it really wasn't anything to do with you, but it was more like about him not wanting to be a burden on you. That's what I'm seeing for Sarah's question.
Okay, so let's go on to Cloud. Cloud is one of our regular questioners. Well, that's great. I'm happy she calls in and or emails us with her questions. It's really great to see people take use of the time. So Cloud says, I have a really hard time staying grounded and present in my daily life. I'm always in my head and can never get myself to live in the moment. I was wondering if you see any crystals that would be beneficial for me personally to work with to help keep me grounded in my life, and also any activities that would help. Thank you.
That's an interesting question.
Hematite.
Yeah, hematite is
very strong.
Yeah, very excellent for grounding. Let's.
I would also recommend one on your left wrist and one on your left ankle.
You know, the other, I've not tuned into it yet, but the other one that's coming up, and I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's something like goji balls. These little round balls they find in the desert, and they've got a lot of iron in them. Boji balls or goji balls. Anyway, let me tune into Cloud. But that's the first thing that popped into my mind. I've got some at home. They're like these rusty coloured, they are rocks. Okay, let's take a look.
I don't know why you find it so amusing.
I don't know either. I can see them, but I can't think of their name. Maybe if I go into trance, I'll get a better idea here. So she's having trouble grounding. Oh, I can see that. Gosh, yes, you are. You do have your head in the clouds. Cloud. Gosh. Well, you know what? I'll take a look at the idea of a crystal. But so often we just want to take a pill or have or something that's going to solve our problem. And I'm going to give you some other information besides a crystal. So you obviously listen to the show and you know about grounding and you know about present time. Present time is where your body is. Grounding is how you get to be where your body is. If you're not grounded, then you're not going to be with your body. And I'm seeing that's what's happening. You're not in your body. So if for some reason you're not able to follow the grounding technique, then any of the mindfulness techniques will help. So you can focus on anything that your body does, like breathing, focus on the breath. Focus on the physical senses, the sensation of your clothes on your skin, the smells in the room, if you're eating, the taste of the food, what you see, what you hear. All of those things, focusing on the aspects of the body, will draw you, the spiritual being, closer together with your body, and they will help you ground. Being out in nature will help you ground because all of nature is present. We're the only creature that seems to know how to disassociate ourselves from present time reality. So the trees and nature will help you to naturally ground. Waterfalls, trees, the bottom of a mountain, all of these things can help you match that energy and be grounded. Even if you've got pets or animals, they can help you be more present. So I recommend the grounding technique. And then, in terms of, besides what we've said, the other thing is I'm getting a vision of granite. And I mean like a big, big, big rock of granite. So getting outdoors in nature and actually going and sitting on, finding somewhere near where you live that's an outdoor park or a national park where, it has deposits of rock, and in particular granite is coming up. But if you want a stone or a rock that you can hold that's going to solve your problems, well, it's not really a magic wand. You kind of have to ground and you kind of have to want to be in your body. But the ones we said at the beginning, hematite is a good one. Any of the ones that have a metallic element are pretty good. So I forget the name of the one that's fool's gold. That's coming up too. Feldspar.
Feldspar?
Feldspar.
One thing is, a lot of people, what they do before they go to bed at night is take their jewelry and things off. Like if you're looking to ground, a lot of times you should actually wear that when you sleep as well, because what happens is you ground during the day, and at night your astral body just goes, and it puts things into your mind and in your subconscious. So you should wear it all the time.
Yeah, and you can actually ground yourself before you go to sleep.
That as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Cloud, I would just say, follow there's a grounding meditation on my website that you can download. You can email me about it and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, and it's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
send me the link too. I want to listen to it.
Well, I actually think I sent it to you the other day.
No, you sent me the meditation one for psychic.
Yeah.
Which is the same, I guess.
Yeah, it is. No, there's one on my website. If you go on to the page where I talk about doing speaking engagements, there's a link to hear an example of me doing a live meditation?
It's it is Dr. Lesley, and it is workshop hyphen example.
Right, exactly.
Am I good or what?
You're very good. And you know what? You're so good that you've reminded me that we have to introduce Johnny K.
Yes.
So
Tutor Johnny K, my brother with the same letter of the first letter of his last name.
Yeah, and he is back in the studio to entertain us, get us to groove, if we say that anymore. Probably dating myself. What do we say? What do we do? What do we say? Johnny's going to tell us.
Listen to music.
We'll be back in a flat. Well, we won't be back. Johnny's going to be back.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry. I'm dating myself again. All right, we're off. We'll be back next week.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.